Skate Story. Skate Story is fun. Skate Story is a great game. Matter of fact, Skate Story is art. Ask yourself, what is a game that you think is art? When I think of art, I think of creativity and freedom. And Skate Story has that in abundance within its art, music, and gameplay. When I was playing through this game, I couldn't help but think to myself that this game's aesthetic was absurd, but the artist tamed the aesthetic in a beautiful way. Like when a painter throws splashes of random paint on a canvas, making the beginning look weird and incomprehensible, but it finishes into a unique painting of a beautiful portrait. Beautiful, but not conventionally. The beauty lies in the chaos in the finish, still able to make a passerby take a second glance. You would be hard pressed to find a game that looks like this aesthetically. That is an achievement in and of itself, especially since the end result looks this good. It's chaotically beautiful to look at. Skate Story is phenomenal in the way it incorporates music into the gameplay. As you play through the levels in this game, it almost feels like you are in a music video, but the player isn't watching the music video. As the player, it feels like you are making the music video. Do you ever do something like play basketball, parkour, snowboard, any sport really, and you just imagine the bass drop in the background after you drill some sick ass shot or spike the volleyball into the ground? Better yet, imagine you are in one of those hype edits that you see your favorite player in. Watching them play without the edit is impressive, yes, but with the edit, it amplifies the highlights of the player, making it 2 times more sick to watch. That's what it feels like when you're playing this game, specifically when you are fighting against the bosses. And by golly, does this game have some amazing music. I've never encountered a video game where I saved 7 songs to my regular playlist. The band that collaborated with the developer of Skate Story couldn't have been any better. How they even came up with the soundtrack to fit this game's aesthetic and have it go so well with everything in the game is a mystery to me. I applaud Blood Cultures for their amazing contribution to this game. Their music really did elevate the enjoyment of this game. I know music is supposed to be subjective, but this is objectively good. And by the end of this review, if you don't end up playing Skate Story, I highly recommend checking out the music of Blood Cultures. I'll throw some of my favorite tracks that are on the game on the screen right now. Please give at least one of the songs a listen. I'll even throw in a little snippet of gameplay with their music playing. Skate Story has a story in which you are playing as a demon made of glass and pain, in hell. Your goal is to consume every moon there is in the underworld to reclaim your soul. It's a story that asks the player questions, philosophical questions, directly and subtly. Now, these aren't questions that will have you thinking all day about them. They're just questions that keep the player a little engaged in the story, instead of having a story that presents itself through many cutscenes and long dialogue that you couldn't care less about. That's not to say this game doesn't have any dialogue or cutscenes. It does. It's just presented in a way that is not like many other games that I have experienced. And the story is interesting and weird enough to keep you engaged. I don't think you would be begging to skip cutscenes or the dialogue at any point in the game. The story is kind of hard to explain though. It's weird and unique, philosophical and interesting, playful and questionable. It's all these things. So sometimes it's hard to understand the story, at least for me. I don't want to get too deep into the story because I think it's better to let you experience such a story yourself and see what you think of it. But what was even more engaging was the gameplay. Tell me another game that lets you have a boss battle in a skateboarding game. I'm not talking about some trick battle or combat off the skateboard duel. These are boss battles where you are fighting the fucking moon. The set design of these boss battles are the pinnacle of artistic expression in video games. The boss battles are so enjoyable, fun, and fresh, they were a big highlight. It's like you're in a theater and you're the main character in this play, but you guys are in hell. And you're fighting these gigantic moons with sick ass music playing in the background. And the set pieces are just exquisite, perfect. Mwah, 10 out of 10. It's like, man, when I was playing through these boss battles, I was smiling ear to ear like a dumb little kid watching his little kid shows. It was so joyous and enjoyable. And I hope when you guys play, you feel the same way. Especially in the second boss battle. What a gorgeous dance that was. But even though Skate Story has this otherworldly narrative and environment, the action of skating is pretty grounded to reality. You aren't doing 1080s launching off huge ramps doing backflips. This is more like street skating. You, the player, have a decent arsenal of tricks to land. It's not just a kickflip or a shove, so it's not bare bones by any means. There is more to it. Also, the feeling of skating is an accomplishment in and of itself by the developer. All the tricks you land feel like they have weight when you're landing them. Like when you do a kickflip, right as you land, there's this impact that feels so satisfying and real, especially when you land tricks with speed. At times when you play, the sense of speed really does feel like you have sonic powers. At times it felt like I was going 50 miles an hour even though I wasn't. I don't know how to really explain it, but it all just feels so good. You really need to play the game to understand the feel I'm talking about. It's near perfect execution. In this game, it's impossible to fail a trick, but it is possible to make your landing look sketchy. In Skate Story, they have a certain mechanic that gives skating a slight skill ceiling. Just as you are about to pop into the air to do a trick, there is a meter to the side of the player that has a green mark somewhere on it. The screen mark isn't big, and this meter doesn't go slow, so it can be easy to miss the green section. The more complicated the trick you're trying to land, the faster the meter will go, and the smaller the green section will be. When you do hit the green section, you have the ability to pop higher into the air, and your landing will be clean. Compared to if you miss the green section, it doesn't allow you to pop as high, and your landing will be sketchy. It's a system that's easy for any player to get into, and it's not too hard or frustrating to master. Having this in place makes the game easygoing and fun, so anyone can really play. What is a little bit hard is grinding. The act of grinding in this game isn't hard, but the initiation of a grind is more difficult compared to its counterparts. In other games, the game practically glues you to an edge whenever you are close to one. In Skate Story, it takes skill to really land on the ledge you want to grind on consistently. It's not frustrating per se, but it is a surprise because it is such a switch up from other skating games in that regard. One more thing about the gameplay is that there is actually a way to fail. You fail in this game by running into obstacles or when you hit a wall going too fast. It's a fairly common occurrence to fail like that, but it never felt like it impeded my enjoyment of the game because you respawn really fast. Also, the way you fail is kind of satisfying. The sound of your glass character shattering as you hit the ground and the way the camera rolls around on the ground when you run into something will never get old. Moving on from the topic of gameplay, you might be curious as to what type of side content they have, and I'm thankful and bummed to say it's not much. Thankful because the game really respects the player's time. There is no collect 50 parts or collect this or collect that as side content to complete a quest. You know, the lazy grindy stuff that makes games feel repetitive over time and bore you. There is a few instances where you have to collect some parts, but it's nothing like 50, not even 10. Like I don't even think 5 things that you have to collect. But I am bummed at the same time to say that there wasn't more things to do outside of the main story. The game is just that entertaining and enjoyable that I want more. But I'm happy with skating around areas that are available. Because at the end of the day, that's what this game is all about. The side content they do have are light challenges to get a score in a certain area to gain some currency to buy a new board, wheels, trucks, or stickers. I didn't do too many of the challenges. I was just skating around randomly enjoying the scenery and trying to do my own challenges. Because the challenges that are presented weren't that interesting, unfortunately. No game is ever going to be perfect for anyone. There are always going to be some pros and some cons. Skate Story is no exception. But it's a beautiful, unique, interesting craft of love that had me smiling from the very beginning. I love the fact that it respected my time and didn't try to be some unnecessarily big game that ends up giving you a watered down experience. Skate Story is tight and strong. Its highs are higher than any highs I've ever had while playing a single player game, and it never had a true low point for me. I really want more of this game, but to me, what makes it so special is what it is right now, a skate story. And I'm gonna give this game a 5 out of 5. I hope by the end of this review you go out and buy it to try it for yourself. I want this game to succeed. This game is top tier art. I'm very grateful I got to experience this. Thank you to everyone who worked on this game, and a big thank you to Sam Eng, the creator of Skate Story. You truly made a game like no other, that I hope has big success. And to all of you who ended up playing this game, to you, I say, enjoy.